It might be the offseason, but Notre Dame football never stops. Want to talk NFL Draft 2025 edition and why I am really interested to see how quickly head coach Marcus Freeman versus some recent draft droughts. Let's talk NFL Draft and some interesting data that could change over the next couple years. Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports, bringing down everything Notre Dame football. Folks, it might be the offseason, but the Notre Dame talk never stops. Before we blink our eyes, before we finish, it's going to be spring ball, but also the 2025 NFL Draft is right around the corner. We're going to be talking the next couple months about Xavier Watts, about Benjamin Morrison, and the rest of the 2025 class and what their fortunes might be on the NFL level. But I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. For people that don't know or haven't followed me for long, NFL Draft is my roots in this industry. So I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole recently, and I started diving into the past successes of Notre Dame football in terms of putting out first-round talent at each position. Wasn't a ton of huge surprises. Offensive line was the most recent, obviously, with Joe Alt in the 2024 NFL Draft class going in the top 10 overall. But when I looked down the list, there were a couple surprising positions as far as the droughts from first round NFL draft picks until now. But when I kind of took it full scope, I just started getting really excited about what Marcus Freeman has done at Notre Dame so far and how they can reverse these droughts that we have now seen over the last few years. So at Rise and Draft on Twitter, I posted this a couple days ago. It is going to be on the screen and in the description below. But I want to talk here about the biggest droughts Notre Dame has from first round picks positionally over the course of the history. Want to start, and this one was shocking to me. The longest since Notre Dame has had a first round pick at a position actually is at linebacker. 43 years since Bob Crable was a first round NFL draft pick in the 1982 NFL draft. I know what you're thinking. Linebacker has not been a problem in Notre Dame, and you're absolutely correct. If not for, obviously, the injury in the bowl game to Jalen Smith a few years ago, he probably would have been a first-round draft pick. If not for the heart's concerns late in the draft process of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah a couple years ago, he probably would have been a potential first-round draft pick. Maybe Manti Te'o, if not for the girlfriend thing that we're not going to rehash on this podcast today, maybe he would have been a first-round draft pick. So this one is not as telling of inconsistencies or faults in a roster, in my opinion, right? Linebacker play has been great, but I'm interested to see if this does reverse at some point in the near future. Obviously, you have very talented players like Drake Bowen, Kingston Viliamoasa, Jaden Ausberry, and then kind of moving into the future, Notre Dame has done a great job with Madden Faramo and some future classes, Thomas Davis Jr. Will Notre Dame be able to reverse that first-round drought at linebacker? Interested to see. I'm not really sure, but I'm mostly not really concerned about it either. Notre Dame has been developing linebacker very well for a very long time, and I don't see that ending anytime soon with Marcus Freeman. Now, the next drought is a very, very interesting one. It has been 32 years since Jerome Bettis was drafted in the first round in the 1993 NFL draft by the Los Angeles Rams, eventually obviously going to the Pittsburgh Steelers and having a Hall of Fame career. This one I expect to end very quickly. 2026 NFL Draft, as long as injury is not a concern and all that type of stuff that goes into this miscellaneous draft process, Jeremiah Love, I think, is an early name to know as a first-round potential draft selection. So that one I think could end pretty quickly. This next one is the troubling one, where I think this needs to change sometime in the near future. This will show the growth of the Notre Dame roster and development of talent. It has been 28 years, 1997 NFL draft, since defensive end, edge player, Ronaldo Wynn was drafted in the first round. Notre Dame has not had an edge, a defensive end, drafted in the first round, and I repeat, 28 years. That needs to change. Needs to change. Notre Dame's had some good stretches, right? Obviously, Isaiah Foskey was a really good football player. Justin Tuck, back in the day, was a very good football player. Notre Dame necessarily hasn't been bad at edge, but I do think when you talk about the most important positions, just structurally speaking, of a great roster, quarterback, offensive tackle, defensive end, and then wide receiver, corner, like being strong on the edges, both on the line of scrimmage and on the perimeter, I think is very, very important for the health of a roster. So I'm interested to see, Boubacar Traore, coming back from an injury. Could he be a guy that could be in that conversation? Bryce Young, when he's eligible for either the 2027 or 2028 NFL draft, is he in that conversation? Notre Dame needs to reverse that trend because I think that is a position of very big importance because we saw against Ohio State, for instance, and I know there was a string of injuries, but Notre Dame wasn't able to affect the passer well enough. So defensive end edge pressure and edge health of this roster, I think, is one that needs to be reversed in the near future. And then the last one I wanted to talk about, and then I'll give you the last little miscellaneous numbers here. 18 years, 2007 NFL draft, since Brady Quinn was drafted in the first round by the Cleveland Browns, quarterback, obviously. And quarterback's going to be a main talking point, and it needs to be. That is one that I would love to see reversed. I don't know if CJ Carr will end up being that guy. Kenny Minchie will be that guy. I literally have never seen CJ Carr throw a pass on the college level. I know a lot of people are very hopeful, but let's let the kid throw a pass before we start mocking him in the first round, right? That's I kind of hate that early conversation when we've never even seen a player play. But if Notre Dame is able to take that next step, hopefully quarterback, reversing that 18-year drought of NFL draft first round selections. The other positions to know, 12 years since tight end was drafted in the first round, which I found pretty interesting, obviously, with Tyler Eifert being drafted 12 years ago in the first round. 9 years ago was wide receiver. That was the Will Fuller draft in the 2016 NFL draft by the Houston Texans. Defensive line, this is Jerry Tillery, 6 years ago was drafted in the first round. Obviously safety, Kyle Hamilton in the first round by the Baltimore Ravens. And then, like I said, 1 year ago, Joe Alt. So some very healthy positions from a talent perspective, but let's get running back on the board next year. Let's see if linebacker can reverse, but more importantly, edge and quarterback are the spots that I hope those droughts end very soon. A to Z Sports for all your latest Notre Dame college football, NFL draft, and NFL content. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, and you all know the drill. I'll talk to you next time. Go Irish.